The writer Toshi Langu was a kid in a small and backward village in the bottom part of Nagaland's Japukong range in the 1950s. The village was surrounded by dense forests, and Toshi and his friends spent a lot of their childhood going on adventures in the forest and climbing trees, just like apes. The only way to get to the village was by a small path, which was turned into a proper road for cars during the World War II. But after the war, only few cars would use the road. They would get very excited when occasional airplanes flew over the author and his friends. The villagers would say that during the war, giant men with red faces drove many large and small vehicles through the village. Those were Americans. This exciting time in history happened about 5 years before the author was born. As mentioned, it was very rare that a car would pass through the village. And since there were no machines like cars, tractors, or anything else within 40 kilometers around the village, it used to be very quiet there. When a car or any vehicle passed through the village, it was a big deal for everyone, especially the kids. They would wait for the chance to smell the exhaust of the car, which they thought was like the smell of gods. There was particularly a shortcut in the village that would meet the road, and it was often used by the villagers. When a vehicle would be heard approaching the village, the first person to hear it would give a loud warning, "Kari, Kari," and the news would be quickly spread throughout the village. Several boys would then run excitedly towards the shortcut, a half-kilometer downhill path full of vines and creepers. While running, the boys had to hold up their pants because they often fell down to their ankles. They also had to run with toys in their pockets, which made it hard to run. When they got to the road, they fought for a good spot and then ran behind the car, breathing in the exhaust smoke, which they called the fragrance of the gods. The smaller boys who could not run like the bigger ones would be left behind and had to be satisfied with the leftover smoke that lingered on. Girls did not participate in such adventures. After the vehicle had passed, they would drop on the ground tired. The kids then would talk about what happened and who was the fastest runner and who fell down, etc. Then they would go back home feeling exhausted and very hungry. If someone found a drop of oil or fuel from a car that had leaked out, it was like winning a lottery. The lucky person who found it would take it home and smell it for weeks. The speaker in the story is remembering their childhood and describing how it was similar to the people in the movie The Gods Must Be Crazy. They lived a simple and natural life and enjoyed doing things like swimming, climbing, and jumping. They were mostly without clothes and covered in dirt. They had big bellies from not getting enough to eat. Their hair was long, matted, and dirty, and had lice. They also had phlegm hanging out of their nose, which looked like little green worms. Even though they were not clean and did not have enough to eat, they were happy and content with their way of life. The speaker also mentions that they lived in a small village that was far from the nearest town, Mokokchung. They had never heard of Kohima because it was too far away. The speaker also mentions that even though they faced many health problems like influenza, tetanus, dysentery, hepatitis, they were able to survive and live well. He is surprised that many of the people who chased cars are still alive today and believes that it is because angels protected them.